Record. Good morning, David. Nice to see you.
Morning. How you doing, Henry?
So, welcome to the show, Entrepreneurs, Business, and Finance. And David, you've been my, I guess, individual, professional, and corporate counsel now for going on 7 years. You and your firm, and we um, we met through another person that's been on the podcast, Alex Vantarakis with the Bond Group. He had an event, actually, appreciation out on a boat. So we cruised around a lake here in Dallas, Fort Worth, and got to know each other over snacks and in the sunshine. Um, and then
That's right.
we also been in some, when I had a prior company, we went to some meetings where we would talk to the business owners that were considering different aspects of their business over at the Van Group. So what I found really valuable about you and your counsel and your expertise is your wide range of experience for what I'll call smaller businesses. Now, some of these businesses may be millions of dollars in revenue, like mine have been. Um, and some may be, I think you do some that are probably 1,500 million. I don't know all your clients. But I find that's especially, how about if you maybe give you an idea of sort of your background and your experience in business and law to start with?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast. When I graduated from Rice, I started my own business. So my entrepreneurial bent began pretty early. So a partner of mine and we got together and started a graphic design business. Now I studied biochemistry at Rice, so this is complete departure. But I wanted to have my own business. I had a buddy of mine that wanted to have his own business, and so we started a graphic design company. We were in the very first generation wave of people doing digital design. So we displaced traditional paste up artists, and we started and we were part of the first wave of going from creating paste up art, taking pictures of it, and then going to print, to going straight to doing everything digital. So I was entrepreneurial from that standpoint, and then along the way, my father had been encouraging me to consider law school, and so that business kind of didn't go very far because I wasn't very artistic, and I had some problems. My business partner ended up having some pretty serious personal issues, and so then I went to law school. So I went to law school about 3-4 years after I graduated from college, and when I got my degree, I hung my own shingle from day one. And from the very beginning of my law practice, I was on my own. I was a solo practitioner. And I was developing business and building relationships as an attorney with business owners. So I've had a very entrepreneurial bent. I've always been good in working with entrepreneurs, been good with how to talk to them about things. And the way I approach things is very entrepreneurial. And so I did some other entrepreneurial ventures along the way. But about 7 or 8 years ago, my practice had gotten to the point where my entrepreneurial clients needed a lot of different kinds of expertise. So they needed litigation, employment law, trademarks, and patents. Basically they needed an attorney that was more full service. And so I found the previous version of Fulton John, which is the firm I'm with right now, was Grable Martin Fulton. And they had a business model that I felt as an entrepreneur was really perfect for entrepreneurs. And so I joined that firm so that I could bring more expertise in a lot of different areas to my clients without having to go out and bring in other law firms and other lawyers and things like that.
I know that's been helpful to me. You always have a good practical advice on something that's important for me to consider, but then you also have resources that you pulled in to do areas of work that maybe you could do, which isn't your specialty, and that's been very helpful. I also think it's kind of neat that you were remote before it's cool. I'm sitting here looking at what looks like a home office, and That was one of the things that appealed to me 7 years ago, because we had the struggle of, I'd had different firms when I was a home builder. I had one that was specific to home building, but it was pretty small. And then I had a big company, I had big firms, and now I was kind of in the middle range. And the big firms didn't really want me, and the small firms couldn't really handle me. And so it was just a really great fit. And I think you can speak to this, but my experience is, because of its remote, there's a lot of effective cost savings for a small business owners, where we may actually care whether it's twice the amount of billable hours, which some big corporation probably is not going to make a big factor in their decision. So
Yeah, so the typical overhead load on a billable hourly rate is usually around 1/2 to 2/3. So for a law firm that's in a traditional model, which is in a building with an office and things like that, with paralegals and assistants, about 2/3 of what you pay your lawyer is going towards overhead. And so what I liked about the remote or distributed model practice is that my expertise, what I do for my clients, does not require a lot of support, and it does not require a lot of infrastructure. So what I found was that for me to deliver effective legal counsel to my business clients, I did not need an office, and I did not need to be surrounded by staff, which meant that I could charge half or a third of what lawyers in the traditional law firm model charge, and I would still make the same money as they did. And so what the benefit for the client is that you're getting the same level of expertise. I've been practicing for 27 years. I charge between $350 and $450 an hour. If you go and find my classmates from SMU that are at the big firms, they're charging almost $1,000 an hour right now. And so you're right, from your experience, is that many entrepreneurs they need the expertise that a big firm offers, but it doesn't make sense. The fees and the infrastructure and everything you have to put up to get that counsel. So you need a firm that has a very large, diverse group of range of expertise. But you can't go to Uncle Bob, the divorce lawyer, or a small solo firm, because you need all that types of expertise. And the smaller firms are more, from a budgetary standpoint, more appropriate for most entrepreneurial ventures. So I think it really works very well, because we offer the expertise and the diverse range of knowledge of a big firm, without the overhead and all the costs associated with it from a traditional law firm model.
talk a little bit about, I know that you helped me with this. I've had different partnerships and arrangements with other business colleagues in the past, and I know you frequently work with clients that have partnerships they're creating, or partnerships that they're buying each other out, or is that something that you can maybe share a little bit about?
Yeah, so whenever you have people going into business with each other, it's a pretty complicated set of factors. A lot of people, when they want to go into partnership with someone, it's, hey, let's just go into business with each other. But I think I've been in enough situations involving disputes between partners and issues that have come up where I find it very important to walk through all the different types of issues with the client. It's the hard conversation to have about, hey, what happens if you guys don't get along anymore? Okay, whether it's because of personality disputes or a financial dispute, or maybe the partner goes off and does something unethical or illegal. There's a number of different reasons why people no longer are a good fit to be in business with each other. So we spend a lot of time talking about making sure we understand, what happens what do we do in a situation like that? And every business is very different. How you unwind it, how you resolve disputes, how you get past these difficulties and continue to do business with each other. It's every business is different. Every group of entrepreneurs, partners is different. And so it's very important for me to spend a lot of time understanding, how you resolve disputes, what kinds of disputes can come up, and what happens, and how you have built-in mechanisms in the corporate structure in order to be able to either stay together or move on in a way that doesn't destroy the business, or in a way that doesn't create just a lot of strife and difficulty.
Well, and I know you also help people in transactions, both in real estate closings and acquisitions of companies and selling their companies. And I know there's a lot of other things that you probably do that I don't know about, but I do know about those categories. Maybe would you like to talk about buying and selling a business? Because I know you've helped a lot of people do both of those things, including me.
Yeah. So the two big areas of my practice is real estate transactions. I help a lot of clients buy and sell real estate, all different kinds of real estate, from raw land to high-rise office buildings downtown. So the acquisition and sale of real estate, and then after you buy a property, then I help you run the property. So from a leasing standpoint, so real estate's a big part of my practice. The other large part of my practice is helping entrepreneurs buy and sell businesses. I find that whole process, the whole vision of buying a business is right up, it's the right kind of work for me to do, because I'm very entrepreneurial. So I love helping people buy businesses. And then I also like helping people exit their businesses, because really the exit, when they sell the business, in many situations, it's the culmination of years and years of hard work of building a successful business and being able to sell it. So helping people buy and sell businesses is the other big chunk of my work. But then I handle all kinds of contracts. I'm basically a transactional attorney. I'm a deal guy. So if you need to transact any form of business with anyone, no matter what type of transaction it is, that's really my practice. And so real estate's a big chunk of it. Mergers and acquisitions is a big chunk. But if you need to figure out how to bring a salesperson on board and give them the right type of incentive, whether it's equity incentive or just commission, can help you figure that out. So anything having to do with transacting business with people, that's really what I do.
Well, and it's interesting to me. My father was a lawyer, and he used to sometimes use the old term counselor. And especially in my life, where I've had so many businesses and so many different sizes, and it ties into personal goals when someone's buying a business, and how they're setting up personal goals. So you must really get to know your clients, because I feel like you know a lot about me, more than probably an awful lot of people do, because you know what kind of business I'm in, where they're making money, what my next plans are, my goals are, and that must be gratifying to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, when I became a lawyer, I really, you always hear lawyers referred to as attorneys and counselors at law. And I really never understood why counselor was one of the words used until I started really representing entrepreneurs. I am probably more a counselor than I am an attorney, because I feel like the attorney part is drafting documents and doing the mechanical work of how you get a transaction or a business to comply with law. The counseling part is the bulk of the work. So, like we were talking about earlier, when two people want to get together and do business with each other, the bulk of the work is figuring out how you resolve problems with them, how you make the financial terms fair. So if you have a money guy and a sweat guy, what's fair between those two? So it's probably much more counseling in understanding what the client really needs and what each specific situation needs and what's fair. So you do much more counseling, and after the counseling is done, after you kind of figure out how they're going to resolve these things and what the structure is going to be, then the relatively easy part is actually creating the documents. And so I've always, for many, many years now, I felt like I'm more of a counselor than I'm an attorney.
Well, that's neat. And just on a personal note, I know that you're a strong family man involved in your church, and I lost my mom and dad over the last few years, and I know you've got kids, and I'm sorry to hear about the passing of your father. And
Thanks.
uh, um, I know that part of what you do is in your work is give back to the community between helping entrepreneurs and being involved in your church. And I know family is a big part of your life, and those are tough. I don't know. There's not much I can say. You're always giving me advice, but I went through that before you did, so that was a chance for me to give you some advice about what it's like to lose your parents.
Yeah,
um,
no, it's been nice to talk to you about that.
so, well, I really appreciate you being on this show and sharing your expertise, and we may invite you back because that was really a lot of good information and fun things I think for people to think about. So, um, thanks again, David.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Anytime. Thank you, Henry.
All right, bye bye.